Good afternoon. I'm G.S. Brooks. I'm from the at-risk movement in the United States. I'm from Harlem, New York. And this is my first time in Africa. So thank you for having me. Thank you, Naheem, for inviting me. This is a privilege. I never felt so free in my life. We are vibrational people. And so we build off of vibes. And as soon as I touched this land, I just felt automatically different. There's a lot going on in the United States that y'all really don't know about. And I came here to tell y'all. But before I get into that, I want to tell y'all about the commonalities that we have. Number one, I'm not a racist person at all. My partner and my assistant, she's obviously a white woman, a white young woman. I grew up in Spanish Harlem, where there was more Puerto Ricans in my neighborhood than there were blacks. So I'm a universal people. But one thing I'm absolutely against is white supremacy. And when I came, my intention to come to Africa was to escape the white supremacy in the United States. I got here and I went to a lot of different neighborhoods and I see that white supremacy is global. I'm on a campaign to end it by any means necessary, as the great Malcolm X would say. So I learned a lot about South African and the South African struggles. I read when I was so I'm 48 years old, right? Wow. Thank you. Prison preserved me. I've been to prison and jail since I was 12 years old. I've been going back and forth to jail. And how I ended up in that predicament is because I'm a fighter. I know how to fight very well. I've been fighting since I was very young. It's very violent in our community. I used to get in trouble in school a lot because I was small and I would get picked on. And I also was shy. We have what they call roasting sessions in the United States. They also call it the dozens. Real funny dudes. If they would make fun of me in class, I couldn't respond. So I punch them in the mouth. And so I end up getting beat up enough that I end up really good with my hands. And so a lot of people feared me. I mean, the tallest, biggest men all feared me. And then I graduated from my hands to guns. I used to walk around with 2 guns on my hip. When I came through my neighborhood and other neighborhoods, they would leave because I let it go. And that's what caused me to doing 15 years back and forth into prison and institutions. I've been in all the worst institutions. I got cuts all over my body from gangbanging. And that was also against oppression. Because what we do is we end up oppressing one another. We end up being the white supremacists that we are against by division, by divide and conquer. I'm with this group, or I'm from this place, and we other our own people, whether that be they shade. Like when I came here and I found out about colors, I heard about it in the United States. I watched Julius Malema. Y'all know what he's about. And I seen the shades. So one thing that we never understood in the United States is the differentiation between blacks and colors. Because in the United States, it was low. If you got 1 drop of black blood, you're a nigga, right? And forgive me for my language. I'm a street person, and I'm also autodidactic. I taught myself everything that I know. I only went to school up into the 6th grade. When my mother told me that she was dying of AIDS, I never went back to school. I went to the street, and I started making my money on the street. I was a hustler. How many people know about hip-hop here? I grew up in the hip-hop generation. My mother hated it. Because I used to bump NWA and she turned that down. I used to get it for that. And she never spared the rod. How many people know? Because a lot of people in the United States don't even know. They are sleepwalking in the United States. It took me to go to the box. I don't know if y'all know what the box is, but that's what we call punitive segregation, or SHU. Segregation housing units. I got 5 years in the box for gangbanging. I was a leader of the Bloods. So if I said something, they followed. But I was just one of many. While I was in the box, I educated myself. I studied philosophy. I studied psychology. I studied Egyptology, loved it, because that's where I started to learn more about my people and where I came from. I read that book, Long Walk to Freedom, thick book, about 800 pages. Loved it, by Nelson Mandela. I love Winnie Mandela. Chris Honey, I learned about him. I learned that he was the children of South Africa that set off the revolution. And I think his name was Hector Peterson. I went to his memorial to send back home so I could tell people what was going on here in South Africa. And everybody loves y'all. Online, they're gonna make it seem like we don't love y'all because they push division between us. Don't fall for that. We love y'all. Hip hop started with Free South Africa. Hip hop started. We have a guy that was called Africa Bambaataa, and he started hip hop. What he was doing was saying we seen apartheid and we was against it. We was popping off on the streets for y'all. But y'all didn't know that because they control media. Just like we don't know a lot of what's going on, what's happening here. The internet has changed that, but they control the internet too. Let's remember that. One of my reasons for coming to South Africa is because I'm a fashion designer. When I was in the box for 5 years, I'm an artist by trade. I started drawing fashion on what, I'm from Harlem, so we the fashionpreneurs in the world. I wanted clothes that nobody was making. I'm like, yo, they ain't making that joint. I'm like, yo, so I started drawing it. And I also started writing books while I was in the box. The first book that I wrote were against the term the revolutionary because I needed to be able to resonate with my brothers because they was adverse to knowledge. They didn't want to read. They didn't want information, but information is power. It gives you choices. You know what I mean? And so I wrote this book where the gangster is all gangster in the beginning, and then he turned into a revolutionary. And then I went to prison again, and so many people was in prison for domestic violence. So many brothers, I couldn't believe it because we're against that in jail. If you go to jail for hitting a woman, you're not safe in population. We will pop on you. Just like if you rape or hurt or abuse a child. You cannot go to regular population. We will pop on you. And so I wrote this about domestic violence, but to give both sides of the story somewhat. And then my last book, and those is fiction based on facts. But my last book is called The Psychology of Freedom, where I started to analyze my life, analyze the stuff that was going on around me. And I wanted the public to know what was happening in prison, how they were still practicing abuse on us in prison. And prison, to be honest with you, is just slavery reform. 1865, they said that they abolished slavery, but they put a caveat in the amendment, which is the 13th Amendment, and slavery is permitted if convicted for a felony. So now they target my people in the ghettos, in the hoods, to lock us up so we can become their workhorses while we're in jail. One of the reasons why I'm here is because all of us have kind of the same or similar issues. One of those issues is economic deprivation. They're depriving us from being able to make money, sustain ourselves, and raise a family. I'm solution-based, and I'm not waiting, bless you, and I'm not waiting for nobody to come and save me. I started my own fashion design company where I came to South Africa to have South Africans manufacture my clothing line so we could sell it and distribute it in the United States globally. And this way, I figured we could help both the South Africans that's struggling as well as the Native African Americans that's struggling in the United States. With that said, I'm going to draw it to a close, but thank you so much for having me. Y'all have been very gracious. Thank you for inviting me. And I Amanda? Amanda.